Here is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of August 11th through the 15th. I will go over price targets on the 5-minute time frame, have a gap recap from August 4th through the 8th, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is NEO. We ended the week at $4.84, up 3.42%. This is where we are. To the north side takes us to one level of resistance and a potential take profit area at 491. Above that, 495. And at 4 standard deviations, that would be roughly $4.99. I do not anticipate price to get to this level on Tuesday, perhaps some other time. Now, to the south side takes us back to the middle of the trend, which is where we've been before. This line was marked out in March. Let me extend this backward. Right here, March of 2025. Let me hit Option R to reset. And we have just retraced back to that level. I will delete this line and draw a new one, and that will be in purple. All right, so we could chop sideways, but hopefully we continue to go upward at -2 standard deviations and another level of support, 476, 472, and roughly 468. This is support, 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 and many levels of support and resistance in between -2 and 2. And looking left, at the beginning of the week, we were here at resistance and tumbled right to here at our low point, and that formed a resistance line off of this gap, and that is still in play for this upcoming week. But we are moving farther away from it. This gap is still in play as well, and this gap is also in play. To the downside at roughly 468. It touched right at roughly 472. And while I'm here, I will just mark out that one as well. And as you can see, this acted as resistance, and there was a sell-off here, sell-off there, here, and here as well. Now we're just grinding along the middle of the trend, or we could finally just go sideways for a potential leg up. But of course, the downside is to this line. Let's move on to the next one. I'm going to go through these very quickly. 1995 is where we ended, up 0.91%. We are in a downward channel on the 5, as you can see. One target to the upside takes us to 2001, 2017, and roughly 2034. To the south side, that will take us right there at 1968. This line was drawn out, and I will delete it, for Monday the 2nd of June, Option R. Because it's so close together, I'm just going to get rid of it. Delete. 1933, 1915, and 1899. Since we're still in a downward channel, by the end of the week, this is Friday, the middle of the trend, we could end at 1872, 1838, 1821, and 1803. To the north side, 1906, 1923, and roughly 1939. As far as the gaps, this gap is still in play, taking us down to roughly 1952. This gap is still in play. That started at 1903. Resistance, this is resistance on the way up, and that sold off. All this is resistance. And then support down here, support. And there was a bounce, as you can see, and that's resistance. And And this gap touched. And I'm going to clean that up since I just marked it out and it happened to coincide with where I marked it, which is right here roughly on Tuesday to 2029. So congrats if you made it there. And then we have other gaps to fill to the upside at some other point. I got to find the middle here so I can drag it easily. There we go, right there. Option R. Let's go to the next one, Tsly. I tried to buy some but didn't get any because I set my buy order too low. 768 is where we ended. All right, to the north side, one level of resistance, 785. I never anticipate price to get to 3 or 4, and if it does, I will anticipate a pullback. 795, 804. Now, the middle of the trend is this green line. So we can just grind sideways. There's a gap here to the south side. Oh no, that's not a gap. That is where I previously bought. So I should have sold out, but I didn't because all I'm trying to do is just take a little bit of profits and then get out, but that's okay. I missed my window because I've been busy. 747, 737, and 728. Now, as far as the gaps go, this is still in play and we could hit it, safely hit it. Well, we could hit it on Monday, but by the end of the week, touch for sure by Thursday. But I think we'll definitely hit it if we're up here to down here. Yeah, we could touch it on Monday. And then there's another gap to the south side. All right, and as you can see, there was a buy signal here, sell signal up there, a buy signal, a sell signal. All right, and by the end of the week, we could hit the bottom 721 and the outskirts here roughly 796. All right, that's Tsly. Boeing 229 is where we ended. Get a drink of water here. 229.12 to the north side. 231.87, 232.91, and don't hold your breath for 234.08. To the south side, oh, I forgot to mark out the middle here, which is very close to a previous line. Okay, and I'll erase the other one in a second. 227.39, 226.30, 225.20. Support 221.15 and a bounce, a sell-off here. As you can see, this gap closed to the downside at 225.15, sell signal, and now this signal here is a buy signal, and we could potentially bounce. But as far as this line goes, I marked that out on Monday for the 14th. Well, I marked it out on over the weekend, most likely. So I will delete this since it's pretty close. Did I already? Yeah, I took this down to 225. Okay, what happened? Support, 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 resistance up here, support as I mentioned. This gap touched right there as anticipated, no longer in play. So congrats if you went long after we got slammed down. We have gaps to the south side there. And what's going on up here? I will clean that up later. I'm not sure what's happening. I think those are gaps, but I gotta double check. All right, the next one is Sofi. We ended the week at 22.10. To the north side takes us to 22.27, 22.69, 22.91, 23.12 to the south side, 21.83, 21.63, and 21.40. Looking left. Wow, look at this. What happened here? So look at that. We hit a high last week of 25.11, right there, 52-week high. And then we gave it all back because that's what we do. Not just Sofi, every stock gives it back basically, and then it makes another leg if they are any good. The company will rebound. It's just an opportunity to dollar cost average down if you're trying to lower your average. Okay, let's see here. We've got gaps that we are moving farther away from. This is a car I saw at a car show. I just went to another one this weekend. It was very fun to see. The music was just a little too loud. I understand you want excitement, but my goodness, it's not a nightclub at a car show. So here we go. 22.49, no longer in play. And we do have gaps up here, I know. All right. That'll be it because I'll extend the gaps later. Okay, and Nike, we ended the week at 74.19. 75.15, 75.71, 76.29 is what I'm targeting, but that's a ways off. We're not heading towards that area, but we could wick, but I don't think so. 72.96, 72.43, and roughly 71.87. This gap is still in play, but we are inching closer to it. By the end of the week, let's say by Thursday, we could touch if we continue our trajectory. What is this? This needs to be extended. It touched right there on Wednesday, taking us down to 76.36. I didn't clean that up. That one's done. So we've got landmines to the south side galore, as well as some upside potential here and here. Last one, yay. I'm gonna go, like I said, very quickly. Okay. 11.79, support. This over Friday, okay. Support is right there. I'm sorry, that's resistance, and we could chop sideways at 11.87. That is close to 11.89. And I marked 11.89 out on when, right there, roughly Friday the 28th. So we're just retracing. Okay, I'm gonna delete that, it's too close. Okay, now I can continue. 12.19, 12.36, and 12.53. 11.53, 11.37, 11.20. This gap is still in play to the south side. All right, as well as this one to the upside, but we're moving farther away from it. And I think that's it for the gap. So what happened last week? Well, the high we hit right here, roughly, 12.85, and then we gave it all back. This is support on the way down. These are your buy signals for support. Support, this is resistance. This is resistance and a sell-off. And this right here is going to act as support, so I will anticipate a bounce off of that, but eventually it'll close out to here, maybe on Wednesday, if we don't touch it beforehand. Okay, and that does it for me. That is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of August 11th through the 15th. If there's a ticker you'd like me to go over, let me know, and have a great trading week.